West Hill United is a progressive spiritual community where how you live is more important than what you believe. West Hill United is a people, a place, an idea. We are a community living out of a progressive faith, striving to make a positive difference in our own lives, the lives of others, and the world. Join us Sundays at 10:30 a.m. or connect with us at any time.
In this video, Scott will be referring to 4 videos that will be in.
At the end of the readings, we customarily add the phrase, offered as wisdom for the journey. And we invite you to respond with the phrase, may we walk in its light. But this is simply an invitation to participate if you wish to do so, audibly or indeed silently. So the following selections feature just some of the numerous effects that music can have in our daily lives, accompanying us in our struggles and our celebrations, inspiring us to action, delighting us in times of joy, and comforting us for the long journey together. For example, here is Plato on the magical effect of music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. And from the American author, Pat Conroy, on the comforting effect of music. Music could ache and hurt. That beautiful music was a place where a suffering man could hide. Musician and activist Bono offered this on the powerful effect of music. Music can change the world because it can change people. And author, essayist, and columnist on popular culture, Chuck Klosterman, on the very personal effect of music. I love the way music inside a car makes you feel invisible. If you play the stereo at maximum volume, it's almost like the other people can't see into your vehicle. It tints your windows somehow. And I would add, probably damages your hearing too. But anyway, offered as wisdom for the journey. May we walk in its light.
If I were to say to you a small phrase that's often on our PowerPoint or on our signs or on our communication, tell me the one I've left out. Seek truth, care deeply, and make a difference. Do you remember one that's in the middle there? Seek truth, live fully, care deeply, and make a difference. Now, I wrote that a long, long time ago, and I toyed with the wording of it because I wanted to capture in the live fully, I really wanted to capture live deeply, but I wanted to use deeply for the caring part. So seek truth, live fully, care deeply, and make a difference. And we often talk about the 3 I mentioned at the start, but that live fully, what does that mean? And what I never wanted it to communicate was how they talk about fulfilling your bucket list or living your dreams or things like that. There are so many people on our planet that couldn't possibly do that. Couldn't possibly do that. And so I like to keep what we say or what I say, hopefully, and come and tell me if I'm making a statement that excludes people unnecessarily. that live fully can't mean materialistically. It can't mean even experientially. What does it mean to live fully? And I'm exploring that idea, and it came to me to use the theme of music, and particularly of songs with lyrics. And so we're going to touch a few of them today, not about music per se, but about the experiences of life that music reminds us of, that we pay attention to, and by doing that, we are living fully. So the experiences and the emotions of life, to live fully, to sink ourselves into real life, into that interconnected web where a difference is made on our lives by everything, and we make a difference in everything by our lives. So here's a scolding from Shakespeare. He said, "The man," I'll change it to, "the person that hath no music in himself, nor is not moved with concord of sweet sounds, is fit for treasons, stratagems, and spoils. The motions of his spirit are dull as night, and his affections dark as Erebus. Let no such man be trusted." That's what Shakespeare thought. If you didn't have music, you were just not good at all. He ended the quote saying, "Mark the music. Mark the music." Now, what you don't know is that Babette helps me every single week by marking on the music or on a piece of paper what key to play a song in. So we mark the music very liberally and helpfully. That's a very big help for me. A little number of years later, are we okay? Because well, I can't because the mic just shut off. Okay, the hall is going to hear me because I'm going to project, and evidently the Zoom is hearing me. So that was Shakespeare. I'll take you a few hundred years later, and maybe Charles Darwin had read that, and this is what he said. "If I had my life to live over again, I would have made a rule to read some poetry and listen to some music at least once every week." So that he could only do that once every week means he didn't have a CD, he didn't have internet, he didn't have a television. He only could go to a concert or to a bar, a pub, where some music was being played. And I wonder if that didn't make people appreciate it a little bit more. So the theme I want us just to hold together is the idea of the songs of life, the life in songs. You would have come up with a completely different selection of songs today because they would have lifted up your life, they would have comforted you, they would have inspired you. So it's not exactly about the music today, it's about the experience in that, the wonderful difference music has made in our lives, for inspiration, for comfort. Some songs remind us to do something we've been not doing very well or not doing enough of. Some songs encourage us to stop doing something that's not helpful. Some songs tell us to relax and to breathe. And some songs tell us to get up and do something, and it depends on the words and the type of music, the feeling of that music. That last song we just did, that's an older hymn that has been rewritten for us. And Babette calls it the waltz. She loves that 3/4 time. Maybe it's a little 6/8 time in there, but that music carries on talking about the stamping a dance and singing a song. So how music accompanies in our lives is because of the experiences in those lives. The tragedies, and everyone in this room has experienced in their own life or their wider family, something we could call tragic, something we could call difficult, and also something where an obstacle sat there and glared at us, and somehow with others we overcame it, and that can be in song too. So music reminds us of the experiences of our lives, that we can receive them. I mean, you can get this from other kinds of art, you can get it from walking in the woods with nature, all sorts of things that can widen and deepen and help you live more fully. But music does it here. So we're going to take a look at 6 different, when I was young and I was listening to sermons, especially my father's, and if he had ever said we're going to look at 6 things, I would have got restless already. But they're not that long, so bear with me with the 6. But we're going to look at how songs bring out the experience in our life of First of all, lament or loss or grief. Then the value of facing things with courage. Then the need for respect for ourselves and respect for others. Then a call for action from us to do something with that respect. And then something of comfort and encouragement and peacefulness. And lastly, the idea of joy, the joy that music brings us. And that's going to be a very unusual little video that I've got for that. So the first one, songs of life that bring out the idea of acknowledgement of loss or expressing grief or singing a lament. There are many cultures that actually have a whole booklet of grief laments, songs that are sung at funerals or times of loss. We don't have that, but I remember several that I'll just remind you of if this is from your era. The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. Do you recall that song? Written by Gordon Lightfoot, of course, to commemorate the sinking of a bulk carrier on Lake Superior in 1975. So that song reminded us of the loss of that. There was also another very different group of singers called the Bee Gees, who sang a song called The New York Mining Disaster 1941, which is actually a compilation of some mining disasters in Wales and in New York. And Barry Gibb, if you can picture him, said the song begins on a chord that's A minor, and that's already going to be a sad song for some of you that take a minor as sounding like that. But he also says in that song they put a lot of weird sounds, some harps, some string quartets, and the way Barry played his guitar was tuned, and I did not know this, was called Hawaiian tuning. And so one of the guitars in the song is played with Hawaiian tuning, and the other is played with standard tuning, and it's just a little off. And they wanted that sound to typify, to explain, to display that feeling of that horrible loss. Something was so wrong. And then Maya Angelou said, "Music was my refuge. I could crawl into the space between the notes and curl my back to loneliness." And some of you have found songs that comfort you in times of difficulty. A horrible airplane accident was commemorated in the song 1971 by Don McLean called American Pie. And in that he commemorates the, excuse me, the loss of Buddy Holly, the Big Bopper, and Ritchie Valens. So songs that match us, that come alongside of us in times of grief and in times of loss, and that's important. That's living fully, living fully. Second one, songs of life needing for courage, to rally us to courage. If you've ever had a song that just, okay, I can face that because I'm listening to that. It could be a march. It could be bagpipes. It could not be bagpipes. It could be an accordion, and it could not be an accordion. And the reason I say that is if we took a poll in the room, there'd be probably some instrument in the world that just sets your teeth on edge and you do not like at all. And the person sitting beside you loves it. And that's taste. I have a good friend who's very hard on me. She's here today. She's very hard on me musically because when I express myself about a type of music I do not like, I evidently do it devastatingly and can actually have the person think, oh, I shouldn't even be on this planet if I like that type of music, which is not what I'm trying to communicate. But we have taste with music, and there's nothing wrong with that, but to respect that. So the need for rallying courage could come to you from different kinds of music. Leopold Stokowski said, "A painter paints pictures on a canvas, but musicians paint their pictures on silence." I thought that was such a magical thought, that into this silence, someone's putting something that might rally your courage to face something you haven't faced yet. There was an exhibition in the Texas state capitol presented by a group called Humanities Texas called Citizens at Last, the Women's Suffrage Movement in Texas. And it documents the history of women asking for, pleading for, demanding the vote. And I have some pictures for you of sheets, music sheets that were sung in Texas by the suffragettes. The first one is called, the first PowerPoint is called the Suffragette March Song. So this would have been handed out and people would have sung it. The next slide is Votes for Women, the International Suffragette Song. The next one is the March of the Suffragettes. I did not know there were so many pieces of sheet music that gathered this together, and I have a video for you. The song is a little bit more contemporary, but the pictures you're going to see that it's accompanying is called the Suffragettes' Anthem. And this is to stir people to say, of course we should have the vote, we're a human being. So, the first video. If we could put the movies of the original suffragettes marching side by side with these women marching together, your taste may be more in line with the first one or with the second one, but the idea of it, what it brings out about life, is the same thing. Is it us too? If you're human, well, life, us too. So, songs that rally our courage to face things. The third one, songs of life, the need for respect. And I'm so glad that West Hill always aims that in two directions. Respect for yourself, deep respect for yourself, which means comforting yourself and challenging yourself. And respect for others, which means comforting others and challenging others. Billy Joel once said, I think music itself is healing. It's an explosive expression of humanity. It's something we're all touched by, no matter what culture we're from. An explosive expression of humanity. The next PowerPoint, and this is one that got rescued for me, which I'm so glad. The next PowerPoint is a picture of someone you may not recognize, although you have definitely heard her. Her name is Mavis Staples. She was born in 1939. She's still around, and she's still singing. She's an American rhythm and blues and gospel singer and a civil rights activist. She was born in Chicago and began her career with her family group. Initially, they sang in churches, and then they appeared on a weekly radio show. She rose to fame as a member of the family singing group called the Staples Singers. If you recall that from 70s, 80s, they often sang a gospel song. They were led by the father, Pops Staples, on guitar, and included Mavis and her siblings Cleotha, Yvonne, and Purvis. During their time in song, they sang the one you might remember is Respect Yourself. And that was sung to great crowds with great objection and great support. And I just want to give you a couple of the words from that song, and then we're just going to listen to a little bit of it, sung by the Staples Singers. If you disrespect anybody that you run into, how in the world do you think anyone's supposed to respect you? If you don't give a heck about the man with the Bible in his hand, you just get out of the way and let the gentleman do his thing. Respect yourself, respect others. If you don't respect yourself, and I really appreciate this as a former Baptist, I really appreciate his choice of words here. If you don't respect yourself, ain't nobody gonna give a good cahoot about you. That's a great old word that just sounds right for me. It doesn't give a hoot. If you're walking around thinking the world owes you something just because you're here, you're going to go out of the world backwards like you did when you first came in. Respect yourself and respect others. Keeping complaining about the president won't stop evolution. Put your hand on your mouth when you cough. That will help the solution. Oh, you cuss around women and you don't even know their names and you're dumb enough to think that that'll make a big man of you. For goodness sakes, respect yourself and respect others. Now, I'm going to take you to the concert where they sang this song together as the family, and we're just starting it partway through. And I'm sorry for those Some of these videos are long, so I've chopped them a little so we can enjoy them together, but this is starting a bit of the way through the Staples singers on stage singing Respect Yourself. I watched that last piece, that last section when they're showing different pictures so many times to catch it. I hope you caught a woman making a black doll's hair look like it should, and then a little girl doing that same with the hair. The difference that was made there, the courage that took. I don't know if you saw at the beginning, but there were police walking around on the stage and then off the stage. And that's the Staples Singers. I hope you remembered that song. It was certainly one I remember. And the woman that was singing that part, that's Mavis. Mavis is the one that was singing the female part. A longtime friend of Mahalia Jackson, Aretha Franklin, and she sang actually with Prince and different. She won multiple awards, but that's not the thing I wanted to focus on. I mean, really, there's lists and lists of what she eventually won. She was interviewed once because that group became what they called the spiritual center of America for gospel songs, and it came into the secular world too. It was enjoyed by everybody. She was interviewed once in an interview, and the interviewer said, "You grew up in Chicago, but your dad was from Mississippi. And there was a point at which, just to be on the musical circuit, you would have to start touring in the South. Do you remember what that was like? What did your dad say to prepare you for this?" And Mavis said, "He let us know, now you're going to the South, and not everybody's going to like you. You're going to see signs on water fountains and on doors, but just know who you are. Know that you are beautiful people. Don't get discouraged." When Mavis responded to the interviewer, "But I tell you, certain things we couldn't get over that easily." And that's that thing that songs remind us of. The difficulties and the overcoming, but still the feeling of failure, things need to be changed. One of their favorite songs called "Why Am I Treated So Bad" became one of Martin Luther King's favorite songs. And whenever they were at a concert together, he would ask her, "Are you going to sing my favorite song?" And Mavis Staples, with her family and on her own, became a civil rights activist of her own, with her music and with her work, and with her presence at concerts. Commenting on two songs, another interviewer said, "The songs Down in Mississippi and We'll Never Turn Back, they're songs from the wider civil rights era, right? It seems like very personal stuff." And Mavis answered, "Yes, it is. It's very personal and very real. It's true, walking with my grandma, and these things actually happened. My grandmother told me I couldn't drink from that water fountain. You drink from this one. It's very personal." And so this group that started off singing in a church, and then on the radio, and then to crowds the size you saw, was bold enough not to just sing happy songs, and they sing lots of that, but also sing about the need. At age 80, she calls herself a witness to the ongoing struggle for social justice, and she believes that songs can help fix the world. She describes her music as hoping that it's a beacon, spreading hope, inspiring. Bonnie Raitt, who toured with her, said, "Mavis has one of the most positive, love-inspired, uplifting messages of faith, of justice, of working for freedom and equality, but with a clear sense of what hasn't changed yet. In my opinion, the greatest preacher of that message in my lifetime has been Mavis Staples, and in the most wonderful way, because it's in the music that she sings. She's our personal preacher. And if that's what needs to be preached, that's what she preached." The next PowerPoint slide, if you could show that, that's the Staples Singers singing. And the next slide, that is one of her album covers. And that's a group of young black children standing at a fence because they cannot go into that playground. And so that's even in the art of her music, she was making a message. The next slide. And that is a book that's been put together of her life. It's an award-winning children's poetry book to share her rousing life stories in a spectacular book of pictures. And Mavis went on singing, and I'm grouping that as the fourth thing that songs do, to focus on the fact, and this is a very powerful song. Again, it may not be your taste in music, but the words are so necessary in life. Music points to that it's not just words or ideas, but it's action, response, using voice that matters. It's not just enough to know there are problems. And the song says, if you want to be free and for others to be free, then the power only comes when we enter, when we participate. We've heard about some of that this morning. When we raise our voice, when we connect things, when we write our letter, when we raise an issue, when we speak to someone who we know isn't probably going to want to hear it, but we do it with grace and power. That's when the power comes. And then this song also commemorates, it lists person after person who has done this, and it honors them. So she sang this at age 85, and the song is called Nina Cried Power. I'd never heard it before. I'm almost going to guess you haven't. Nina Cried Power is a classic look on protest songs. The song is a tribute to Nina Simone, who was a jazz and blues artist in the early times of blacks and not being allowed to sing in white clubs. She was an extraordinary artist, and they use her name in this song. The composer described the song you're going to hear as a soulful anthem. It contains blues and gospel influences, subtle piano, a playful drum beat, and soothing rhythm guitar. The lyrics will name a host of people who have stood and used their music to bring issues to light with a positive way. Woody Guthrie, Billie Holiday, James Brown, Curtis Mayfield, B.B. King, Marvin Gaye, Pete Seeger, Patti LaBelle, Bob Dylan, John Lennon, Joni Mitchell, and the person you're going to see on stage singing with them, which is Mavis Staples at age 8. I think it's 82 that she was singing this song. It salutes the contributions people have used music to enter the civil rights movement. And the lyrics, I just want to again, just because sometimes they're a little hard to hear, it's not the waking, it's the rising. It's the grounding of a foot uncompromising. It's not the foregoing of the lie. It's not the opening of eyes. It's not the waking. It's the rising. It's not the shade we should be casting. It's the light. It's the obstacle that casts it. It's the heat that drives the light. It's not the waking. It's the rising. It's not the song. It's the singing. So taking these things to action, and then they'll mention all these songs. It's a rousing song, and it's called Nina Cried Power, and you'll see an elderly Mavis with this group singing, and just watch her face. She is loving being part of this, and because it connects her to her whole life's purpose was to raise these issues of the value and the respect for all people. So Mavis and the group called Hauser. Told that she couldn't drink at that drinking fountain, to receiving a Kennedy Center whole program in her honor, and award after award after award. I'm going to bet that she got more out of that singing with that contemporary group with the same kind of words that she was singing as a young woman with no definite hope that the world was going to change. And the world still needs to change in these issues. But as she sat there and sang, I am so glad that she and her generation did what they did. But I'm also so glad that this generation and the next generation are keeping up with that, because it's not finished. Again, and I don't say this in a patronizing way, but it might not be your style of music, but it is West Hill's values wrapped up in a beautiful talent that she has for that. So Nina cried power, and so did Mavis Staples. By the way, tech team, you are doing a fabulous job. Fabulous job with keeping up with both PowerPoint and music. I got two more for you, and these are much more gentle. So just relax into gentleness. This one, we've talked about singing for remembering tragedy, for rallying courage, for respecting ourselves and others. But we also have found music accompanies us in our time of needing comfort and stillness and peace. A caring, sort of soothing thing. And I'm sure all of you could come up with songs that you've known that when you put that one on, or when you sing it, or someone sings it to you, something just rests inside, and it works beautifully. Sometimes my only way of expressing how I'm feeling at home is to go to the piano and just play. And it's not even necessarily a song, but it's a sound of something that I find soothing and comforting. I think at my mother's funeral, well, I know I sang this, played it at my mother's funeral, but I also brought it here the day after that. My mother, she called it her tuneless, toneless song, which was so wrong because she didn't have words. She did have a tune. That's what she called it. It just was 4 lines. And she would sing it to me as a child with my bronchitis or with my asthma where I was having trouble breathing. I was never scared when I had asthma because I was surrounded with sweetness and goodness and people telling me stories and Dad chopping ice to keep the swelling down and Mom singing this tuneless, toneless song to me for comfort and encouragement. And I sang it to her as she was dying in her bed. And I wanted to close that whole story together. Mom, you gave me that, and I'm giving you this as you pass away. I'm going to show you a photograph, another PowerPoint slide of a singing group. This is the singing group from Diponegoro University, which is a public university located in central Java, Indonesia. It was founded in 1957 as a private university, but so many young people in Indonesia were graduating from high school and wanted further education but couldn't afford it. So they actually turned it into a public university with help for all teenagers to get into further education. It's the oldest public university in Central Java and Indonesia. And that picture is the choir of this university at a particular competition. And the song they're singing is called Soleram. And I sent it to a few friends just to listen to years and years ago. It's a folk song from Riau, Indonesia, a well-known folk song in Indonesia and Malaysia. The song is melodious, and it's sung in a gentle rhythm with lyrics that are relatively short and easy to remember. And I'll just say that the words to my mother's song to me were as follows. Oh my, oh my, oh my, oh my. Repeat. Didn't matter. It was the gentleness of the song. And this song is sung very differently in different parts of Malaysia and Java, but it's always a lullaby to a child that's restless and is to calm them down, to say, I'm here with you. The world may be in trouble, which it was for so many of them, but I am here with you. Excuse me. It was recorded in many variations. Pete Seeger recorded it. But I'm going to ask you to enjoy a very short clip of this song, this group singing it in a competition. So we're starting with 2 minutes into it and ending a little bit before the ending. But this isn't the last you're going to hear from them. So this is the choir from Diponegoro University in Java singing the lullaby Soleram in a musical competition.
Become a sustaining champion of West Hill United's work by committing to an automatic monthly donation. Learn more or donate now through Canada Helps.